I'm Lotta Bergseth, the other half of Mobile Stories. And Johan, we are so glad to have you here with us today. You are an award-winning teacher at a school in Forshaga, a small town in Sweden. Could you start by briefly introducing your school to us, Johan?
Okay, I can gladly do that. My school is a high school or upper secondary school. We have about 300 students. They are between 16 and 19 years old. We have two main programs, one for natural resource management. Those students are interested in fishing, hunting, dogs, climbing, and things you do in the nature. And we also have one program for students with language difficulties. And they are very diverse. They have many different learning challenges, but all of them have with language to do. Yeah, it's a broad range of students with different challenges.
Yeah. And it was this group that you were working with a podcast. And there was a particular event involving a classmate, Maskan, that united the entire class around a project. Could you share that story with us?
Yeah, the short version.
Yeah, it's a long story, of course.
I have been working since 2016 with student with with a Swedish as a second language, but this year we only had two students left. So we integrated them into the class with language difficulties, and the first thing that happened in August last year was that Mushkan, she became a letter from the authorities that she must prepare to leave Sweden. She has been here for 3.5 years, I think, and it was in this class we have about four students with Down syndrome. We have it's and you can say that all the students are very sensitive. So it was a big deal in this class that this happened, and they were very upset, and we discussed with them what we could do, and we decided to try to do everything we could. And there it started that they wanted to engage, do what they could for Mashkan. That's the start of the story.
Yeah. And the class decided to create a podcast about Muskan. What inspired them to choose the podcast format, do you think, and what made it the right choice for this project, do you think?
I think it was a part of the whole project, and I think to write an article, we had to do it together because writing is not for the most of the students, it's not their best skill. It's not writing an article, but we try to write together in groups, and they created a petition. They met the politicians and asked them if they could write a letter, and it ended up with a podcast that was something they could do from the beginning to the end. So they started to brainstorm what questions could we ask Moshkan, and Moshkan had to be fine with those questions because she was very sad at the moment, but she said, okay, I will do it. Not gladly, but she did it. And the students choose one of the students that they said he can do it best. So one student was the leader of the podcast with Moshkan, and then we had the whole class in the classroom and did everything live. and that's how we did it. And I think that's the part of the whole project of which they are most proud, I think, because they felt that was our podcast. Even if all of them wasn't live in it, but they had a question there, and they had they felt that they were a part of it.
Yeah, can you explain how you did that? How you managed to gather all and made them feel like they were...
Actually, it was the easy part, I think, because we had a class, and we set up a table in the front of the class, and then we had a microphone and one of the students' iPads. We made a voice memo, and the whole class was audience. And Jacob, who was asking the questions, he wasn't so good at the beginning because he read all the cards we had written. But after 3-4 takes, he threw the cards away, and then it went very smooth. He did perfect, really, and it was also nice to see, because he got into a role where he was very grown up compared to other situations. So it was great moment for him as well.
Wonderful to hear.
So we did it live with an iPad in the classroom, no extras. So, and then we uploaded it to Spotify.
Yeah.
And then we sent it to you, Lotta.
Yeah. What do you think are the key benefits of podcasting as a tool for student learning?
I think there are many benefits. I think we are in the schools now, we are struggling with AI. I am very pro AI. I think it's a wonderful, what to say, it's great opportunity for us to create learning in another way. And the problem is, how do we, with writing, you can't let the students write at home anymore. You can't trust that they have written it. And I have many years I have been working with podcasts, but now more than ever. And I think it's a great opportunity for the students to work with all their skills, multimodal. They can write, they can speak, they can listen to each other, and they have many ways they can express themselves, I think. And I think working with a podcast is not only the product, when it's ready, because you follow the whole process. And I think when they know that they are recording, it's another situation where they has to be sharpen their minds a bit, and I think it's also a fair way to evaluate the students, I think.
Yeah. And you mentioned you work a lot with AI tools to help students, to work, and I think you use it to help them find their voices sometimes. Did you and your students, did you use AI in this work with a podcast in some way?
We used AI a lot to learn more about Afghanistan in this case, because some parts were hard for Moshkan to talk about. And then we asked AI a lot of questions about the situation in Afghanistan and the Hazara people, which Moshkan is one of. So we used it not for a manuscript for a podcast. We didn't use it, but for questions and facts about what she has in what country she had lived. And then I must say, podcast is not. When I talk about podcasts, sometimes it can be just in the class. We had this year we made a podcast about minority languages in the class. Instead of writing about it, they each group had one language. In Sweden, we have 5 different minority languages, and they they were supposed to present the language, and they asked the AI, "Can you be an 18-year-old Finnish-speaking young person?" And then they asked their questions to AI, and then when they had the answers, one of the students had to be this Finnish speaking person in the podcast. And then they made an interview where they presented the language in that kind of way. But in the ending, then they had to listen to one another's all the group's podcasts, all the 5 languages, and then they had to write some kind of reflection exam, you can call it whatever. But I think the process was the best part, because they really did it great, because they could ask their questions. They didn't get the questions from me. So I think that's also a great way of doing it. I think we could publish those podcasts as well, but you don't always have time, or you don't have students that wants to do it. So I think you can use it even if you don't publish it.
Yeah. So this podcast about Mushkan also were published on mobilestories.com, and it was an article produced. How did the students experience the entire journey of creating the podcast and the article? What's your...
I think they were. I like doing or even love doing things outside the classroom, because the students grow a lot with it. I think the first thing we did was writing this petition, and every day Jacob, this guy who did a podcast as well, he told the class, now 200 people has signed this petition. Now he knew exactly how many had signed it. And then they met the politicians. The politician, they wrote a letter to the government. It is a pretty big thing as well. But they got to meet the whole class. Were invited to the politicians in our town, and they listened to them. And then we published the podcast, and then the article, and the newspaper came and interviewed the family, and it was so great to see how interested they were in what happened with our work. Has anyone written the article? Have you seen how many have signed the petition? And then, of course, when they won the journalist award, it was for some students. It was I don't think they ever had thought that they would win something like that, because this is a group of students who struggles with getting into the society, and with this they felt they can have an impact as well.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Yeah, because you won this Young Journalist Award. It's a competition in Sweden that we arranged together with the largest newspaper in Sweden, Aftonbladet, and together with another organization as well, Mediekompass. And they won this prize, and the article was published in Aftonbladet, and they also received this cash prize, and this also led to an interview in Sveriges Radio, the public Swedish radio channel. Yeah, so it was a lots of attention actually to the students' work, and how did they react receiving the prize and all the attention, do you think? Of course, it was hard for Muskan.
Yeah, for Muskan it was pretty hard, but her family supported her and said it's important to tell your story because that's what it's all about. It was a way for us to tell her story because it's a really sad story and you get really angry when you read it, but that's another part. But for the students, it was really mixed emotions, I think, because they were so glad for all the attention, and they were and they are so engaged in her situation, and it was released, I think, one day before the Christmas break on a Tuesday, and the radio called us on Wednesday afternoon when the students had gone home for quick Christmas, but and asked if can we meet them for an interview. And 5 minutes later, all the students said we're coming tomorrow. So they came in their winter break to the school and made this interview with Sveriges Radio, the radio channel in Sweden.
So they supported Muskan in all way they could, the other students. Yeah.
And one of the students, Gry, she has the Down syndrome, and she is now she will be talking at an conference which is all about Down syndrome, about this whole story. So she will speak about this story in front of a big audience in Malmö, I think, in a couple of weeks. So it's we even if the story with Muskan will not end so happy, the students have learned a lot about democracy and the right of speaking and how a society works, and also that they have their voices are also important, and that's maybe the best benefit we have from this, and it's sad.
Yeah, we really wished for a happy end there, but it's not nothing is for sure for Muskan yet. But final question then. What advice would you offer to other teachers who haven't yet explored podcasting in the classroom?
I have been a teacher for almost 30 years, and in my first years it was a huge project to do anything with audio or a movie. You would have to book a whole week, I think, because you had to have a big camera, you had to have equipment that we didn't have. But now we can say we don't have the technology because all of us have it, even if it's just a mobile phone or an iPad. Everyone can do a podcast, and I think try it because the students mostly, they are different, of course, like it, but all the students can on their own produce a podcast, and it's a fantastic tool for learning and assessment, and I think especially now when we are talking about writing tests with paper and pencil, locking students in order to be sure that they write their work on their own. Podcast is a lovely thing to do instead of that, I think.
Thank you so much, Johan. I think we have a question in the chat, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Thank you, Johan. Actually, it's a really inspiring story. I think it's the first time Lotta and Jenny mentioned it to us a couple of times during a Teams meeting, but it's the first time that I hear it from you. So yeah, I think it's really nice, not only our story, but also the student working together with a common goal, I think, and achieving things. Through podcasts, I think it's great. There is a couple of questions. Actually, there is the first one from Andrea. She's asking if the students were inspired by any particular podcasts for creating this. If they're, look at examples and things like this, for example.
I think we listened to some podcasts, but in this particular group, we had to find a level who were perfect for them. But I must say, Jacob, who made the podcast, he was very natural. And I think there are so many podcasts out there, and I think being unique is not so bad. So I think, Jenny, what you told us before with this example, you have to, if you love your story, it's the best start.
Yeah, passionate.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Johan, and thank you very much, Lotta.
This is Mobile Stories.